Good evening. Good evening. My name is Matt Sheehan, and along with my fellow co-chair, Lisa Shade, I would like to welcome everyone to the 23rd Annual Union League Boys and Girls Club's Wine Dinner. This may be our first virtual wine dinner, but make no mistake, we are ready to party with you all. Some of you have a delicious four-course meal that was prepared by Chef Michael Ponzio, specifically to complement the wonderful wines that we will be enjoying from tonight's vineyard, Cakebread Cellars. Dennis Cakebread himself is here with us from their vineyard in beautiful Napa Valley, California, and will be walking us through the wines this evening. Before I pass things over to Chef and Dennis, I just want to remind everyone of a few things. This is a party. We have many entertaining parts to the evening, but one of the main attractions is you and your friends and table mates. So after Chef and Dennis introduce and discuss each course, you'll be broken out into a virtual table where you can hang out with your friends or other guests of the event while you sip on some very fine wine. Don't forget though, for those cooking the prepared meal from Chef, the instructions were in your package you picked up from the club, and we also just shared a PDF in the chat as well. Chef has made this so easy. I think you will be amazed at how little time you have to spend in the kitchen, giving you more time to eat and drink. You should be preparing your first course appetizer now if you haven't already, and taking a look at the instructions for your entree, since you should have already preheated your oven to 375. And also take note of Chef's instructions on putting your entree and sides in the oven so it is ready for the third wine pairing. Dennis will be answering all of your questions at the end of the evening about the wines, the vineyard, and anything else that might be on your mind at the end of the evening. As you have questions, please just type them in the chat box at the bottom of your screen, since we will keep all guests on mute while we are all together. We will be sharing other links as well in the chat throughout the evening, including an online order form to place orders for more Cakebread wine. Lastly, we are here for fun, but we are also here for a very worthy cause, to support Chicago's youth. So we sincerely thank you all for standing with us to make a greater impact in the lives of kids throughout our city. And now I'd like to turn it over to Chef and Dennis to introduce our first course appetizer and wine pairing.
Matt, that's very well done. I have to correct you on one small item. You said Dennis will be answering any and all questions and anything else that might be on your mind at the end of the evening. I have no idea why the governor of Georgia is suing the mayor of Atlanta over masks. And so as you're all here enjoying wine and this great food, please keep in mind to wear your mask. We're socially distanced. We can't have an outbreak in Chicago just because of this wonderful dinner. I've got the food here also, but I realized that I won't be enjoying it with you because it's not even 4:15 here. So I'm waiting for my wife and my daughter to arrive around 7 o'clock. So anybody who has any cooking tips, be sure and let me know. Hold on a second. Go lay down. Go lay down. We're showing you some pictures of the winery if you haven't been out there. Right now we're halfway closed down. We can only do outdoor tastings, but as you can see, we've got lots of great outdoor sites to do it with. All of our restaurants for indoor dining are closed, but we're maybe in a couple of weeks that'll change and they'll go back to that. Right now they're just doing outdoor dining. Cakebread Cellars started back in the early 70s, 1973. And our first vintage was 157 cases of Chardonnay. Who knew back then that 46 short years later, we'd be doing wonderful virtual tastings like this, that we'd have great chefs preparing all this food to go with it. And so I appreciate your patience and hope that you have as good a cook as I have here at home. I want to share, that's not the, this is a video that explains night harvesting, and we can run that one if you want. We got into night harvesting back in the mid-'80s, as we were trying to get more hours in a day, candidly, we were picking by machine. Turns out after about 5 years, we stopped that, and now it's all done by hand under the lights. And so this looks involved, and it sort of is. It takes a little while to get used to. But the major benefit is it's nice and cool. And so we get cool fruit, which really helps maintain the flavors. It turns out that at night, as the temperatures drop, the sugars go down and the natural acidity goes up. And we think these are all great components of what makes our wines come out the way they do. The guys themselves love it, even though they start about 1 o'clock in the morning and then pick till sunlight or until it starts to warm up. Who wouldn't rather work in 50-degree weather rather than in 80 or 90-degree weather? So this is a great thing. If you ever come out here during harvest, or coming home late from dinner, you're going to see some lights out in the fields. Looks very much like a Star Wars-esque invasion of some sorts. But just know it's not that you had too much to drink at dinner, but it's just the guys out night harvesting. We expect to start harvesting Sauvignon Blanc here in a couple of weeks. And so we're looking forward to getting started and getting going. Hope you're enjoying the Chardonnay with the first course. And here's the chef, I think, to talk about what you just made. Hey, there he is. Hey, Michael, how you doing? You're on mute still, like I was.
Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm going to assume by the silence that it's good because you all have a glass of wine in front of you. So this is a really fantastic wine. And Dennis, thank you for those videos. They were absolutely awesome. I will expect my private plane ride there soon. It's probably picking me up in an hour. Anyways, so we have a really awesome first course to complement this wine. This wine is fantastic. I love it. I love the acidity and the citrus in it and the minerality. So we're pairing it with a chilled stuffed artichoke, and the artichoke is stuffed with a crab salad that inside has a little bit of orange zest and some orange juice and some finely diced fennel and celery, and then a preserved lemon aioli in the center. So you just take that leaf and dip it right in the aioli and enjoy the artichoke heart right off the leaf. So I hope you enjoy this course, and I will see you for the next one.
Okay. We are now going into the virtual table for 10 minutes. A message will come up when you have about 2 minutes left. If you need assistance, you can hit the help button and a member of our staff will pop in to help you. Please note as we break into your virtual tables, this may take a minute or two to get everyone set up. Thank you.
All right, well, welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that first wonderful pairing of artichoke and Chardonnay. First and foremost, I want to thank every single one of you for being here this evening and for your support of this event. But most importantly, I would like to thank our generous sponsors of tonight's event, which include our Balthazar level sponsor, the Shade Family Foundation, and our Magnum level sponsors, which are Matt and Michelle Sheehan, Lavelle Law, and the Fitzgerald Family Foundation. I'd also like to thank Dennis and Cake Bread Sellers for their support in providing all of the delicious wine and the goodies that you got as part of this evening's packages. Tonight, most importantly, would not have been possible without Chef creating this wonderful menu, as well as Zach from the Union League Club, and the rest of the Union League staff that went into making this evening possible. And last but not least, I'd like to thank the Wine Dinner Committee members, my coach Matt Sheehan, and Stacy Fleming and Celine Fitzgerald, along with Kim Hawkins, Marina Del Cid, Samantha Heberton, Logan Hageman, AJ, Jose Lira, and the rest of the Union League Boys and Girls Club staff in developing and executing tonight's wonderful, wonderful event. So tonight, the proceeds of this event go to funding programming for over 15,000 children across Chicago, including children in neighborhoods like Pilsen, Humboldt Park, and Inglewood. The past few months have been challenging across the board for them, but thanks to your help consistently, we've been able to rise to the challenge and continue to serve our members. We ask that if you take anything away from tonight, you take away the feelings of hope and happiness that our youth are feeling as they have been reunited with their clubs and their friends over the past few weeks. Please turn your volume up and take 2 minutes to watch this video by our club alum, Jordan Merrick.
For 100 years, through every historical milestone, the Union League Boys and Girls Club has not only continued to serve kids and teens, but we have done everything in our power to go above and beyond to meet the larger needs of the youth and communities we serve. Throughout this unique period of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have led with hope and action, ensuring we are a family that our communities can lean on, no matter what. To date, we have distributed over 100,000 meals to our communities, curbed the learning gap by opening a virtual clubhouse for programming, and embracing the mental health needs of our youth through not only COVID-19, but also empowering them to find their voices throughout the social justice movements taking place around the country. Now more than ever, we are fostering a voice of inclusivity, equality, and opportunity for our youth. We will be vital to rebuilding our community. We will dig deeper than ever before to ensure our kids are fed and have a safe, supportive club family to help them through all phases of adolescence, because we all know being a kid is not an easy task. But together, we will build a great future for Chicago's youth.
Wow, we are so impressed with what is going on at our clubs. Tonight, we all have the opportunity to continue to enable programs that support our kids through the virtual Fund the Mission. As we worked with club staff to learn their most urgent needs, a very special family wanted to know what they could do to help with our reopening. And I am extremely pleased to share that the Shade Family Foundation has generously committed to doubling donations up to $20,000 for our Fund the Mission this evening to help us renovate the Barretto Club kitchen, to serve more meals to our youth, and for all the vital areas of support needed through our club reopening. Let's double your donation by making a gift today. Here's how it will work. You all would have received an email with the link to our GiveSmart Paddle Race site. At any point tonight, you can click on that link, and we are also putting that link in the chat now, and we'll be texting you all too. And sign in if you already have an account, or register if you don't. You can scroll down the page and click on the Donate Now button to view the different levels, but remember, to make a pledge, you have to register or sign in and put in credit card information. And then don't forget to check out at the end using either the credit card you put in or selecting another form of payment on the page you made the pledge. And now, Chef and Dennis will introduce our next course in wine.
So next
Hello.
one up. Am I there? Yeah. So next line up is our Pinot Noir from Anderson Valley. So these are just some pictures of Anderson Valley, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. This is the only vineyards that we own outside of Napa Valley for Cakebread Cellars. It's a small valley up in Mendocino County. What makes it unique is it's very close to the coast, and it runs east-west. And so when the fog comes pouring in, it just pours in so quickly. It's typically thick because it's so close to the coast. And so the reason that's important is because Pinot doesn't like too much heat. You need enough sunshine and heat to get it to ripen. But not too much, because then it cooks out all the flavors. And so hopefully you're noticing that this is a very delicate Pinot Noir. We make it that way with the idea that it'll have nice flavors, but not be overblown. Anderson Valley, if you're old enough, you remember the 60s in the San Francisco and the Haight-Ashbury in the free speech movement at UC Berkeley, and this is where I swear all those guys retired and went up there to cultivate their other interests, if you know what I mean. So it used to be, Anderson Valley used to be all about apples, and then it became a big cannabis growing region, and now it's converting because it's being discovered as a great place for, especially for Pinot Noir. So we treat it very gently. Once it's picked, we pick this at night also, bring it back to the winery, get started with it about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, put it in, ferment it on the skins, do hand punch downs or machine punch downs with it. So it should be nice wine. I hope you enjoy it with your course. And now here's Chef to explain the course. I think.
No, I'm coming.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give you kind of a different experience with the Pinot Noir. Normally with Pinot Noir, it's kind of paired with pork or deeper things or some heavier things. I wanted to take a completely different route. And because this wine is very floral and it is very nice and refreshing and it's silky and soft tannins, we paired it with a Bib lettuce that's gentle and a nice refreshing melon. But then what's really going to play nicely with the Pinot Noir is the Gorgonzola that we chose for it, that sweet blue cheese on your salad, and then some fresh pops of mint with the white balsamic. So I think this is going to be a really fantastic combination together, and I think they're going to complement each other very well.
We are now going into the virtual tables for 10 minutes. A message will come up when you have 2 minutes left. If you need assistance, you can hit the help button and a member of our staff will pop in to help you. Thank you.
Forget. Okay. 10 seconds, and then we're going to have another 10 seconds of them coming in.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, 10 seconds.
All right, well, I hope everyone's continuing to enjoy the evening. The food and the wine is wonderful. It's great to see so many people and so many of our friends that we haven't seen for such a long time. But I wanted to give you a brief update. So while we were enjoying that delicious salad and the Pinot Noir, we raised $21,600, putting us just halfway to our goal, just a little over halfway. I'd like to thank Jackie Short, the Fitzgerald Family Foundation, and Will and Sharon Munnicky for their support, and for everybody else who has contributed thus far. As a reminder, you can raise your paddle by clicking on the Give Smart link we've shared with you in the chat, and we'll be putting it back in the chat again now, so it's at the top of your list. So thank you, and thank you to everyone who's helped so far. So I'm going to turn it back over to Dennis and Chef for our next course and wine.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So our next wine is the Cabernet. And so we wanted to show you a short video on how we make that. Not so much how we make it. This is what happens out on the crush pad. And so we have the coolest thing called an optical sorter. And so, you know, Cabernet is the last thing we pick. And so sometimes if we've gotten rain or extreme heat, we'll get raisins or berries that we don't want to go into the winemaking process. And so the technology actually comes from single stream garbage sorting, not to gross you out, but so this uses a lens on each row as they come out, and we can dial in what fruit passes through, and the other part gets hit by a little airstream and gets blown out into the a pail, the discard pile, so to speak. This is the coolest machine I've ever seen, because what we get to do is we started out each year rolling a good berry, and you hit the good berry button, and then you start rolling other things by it that you go, oh, this is too raisiny, this is shrunken, this is not what we're looking for, and you hit the bad berry button on it, and then you just start slowly running the grapes by there and watching how it's doing. And if you see a good one or a bad one, you keep pressing the buttons, and it just takes pictures of it. And so at the end of the day, I think you saw in the video, it was moving it pretty quick, and it sorts it that way. So I realize I'm getting too old to understand this, but it's an amazing machine and just helps us so much. We used to sit there or stand there and sort them all by hand, but this is a great improvement and a good example of technology helping us with our labor issues. The Cabernet all comes from vineyards that we own in the Napa Valley, and so they go from hillside to valley floor as we try to get a nice combination of big tannic berries in with more flavors and more aromas, and so I hope you enjoy it. You know, it takes us about 3 years to make it, and so this is the current vintage. You know, we take it, and it takes about 2 years in the winery between barrel aging and bottle aging, and then we come out with it. Hope it goes well. Chef, what are you pairing it with?
So Cabernet is honestly one of my favorite wines to pair food with, and this one is fantastic. It has some deep berry notes and some chocolate essence to it. So I paired it with lamb, and I think it works really well with lamb. The tannins dance nicely with the lamb, but also there's some undertones in there. So I put some cinnamon in as we were braising the lamb, and cinnamon and chocolate together just match perfectly. We added with the ratatouille a little bit of smoke on the vegetables. So that little bit of smoke, again, with the berries and the chocolate worked really well, and some olive oil smashed potatoes. So you have a rack of lamb, so a braised lamb shank, olive oil smashed potatoes, and a smoked ratatouille.
We are now going into the virtual tables for 15 minutes. A message will come up when you have 2 minutes left. If you need assistance, you can hit the help button and a member of our staff will pop in to help you. Thank you.
All right, everyone. That was a wonderful meal, wonderful wines, wonderful food. So thank you again to Dennis and Chef for everything. And I know that many of you have been typing in questions for Dennis about the vineyard and Chef about the meal. So if you have any questions and you haven't submitted them, please go ahead and do so now, because we're going to go ahead and start asking them. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Kim and Logan to read out some of the questions, and Dennis and Chef to answer them.
Hey there, Dennis. We've had a slew of questions come in. One of the ones I feel like was most common was can you walk us through the harvesting process? I think people really want to know how grapes get from the vine into our glasses.
Sure. Well, if you can run that night harvest video again, but if you remember back to the start, we pick everything at night, so it's all picked by hand under the lights. And so we like to start early or late at night, early in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, so that everything's nice and cool. It gets picked by hand, lets us start shipping wine back to there we go. Lets us start shipping grapes back to the winery. It starts getting there at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So we used to be more late evening workers, but now we just get up earlier, and we've shifted all of our work schedules so that we're there when all this starts to show up. So then, it's 2 different processes. One, white wines is we throw it all in the press. We press it out right away so it comes off the skins, and then we go to tanks or barrels to ferment it. The red wines will get destemmed, take all the berries off the stems, and then throw them in a tank and start fermenting them. on the skin, so to speak. And so then they come off the berries or what's left of the skins and the seeds after they're done, mostly after they're done fermenting, and we press out the skins and stuff to get all the juice out. They go to barrels or tanks to age for a little bit, and they're all different depending on what variety it is. And then we'll go to barrels and age them, depending again on the variety. You know, the Cabernet spends about 20 months in aging in barrels, and we use it's all French oak, but we use a combination of brand new and aged, prior used barrels so that we don't end up with too much oak. And same thing for all of them. The only one that doesn't really get put into barrels now is the Sauvignon Blanc, and we have concrete eggs. Just showed you that. It's hard to understand. It's on our website, cakebread.com. Just look for concrete eggs or aging in concrete as we try to age it, but not have it pick up. Hope that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate that. And then we did have a question. Where does the name Cakebread come from? Obviously, it's your last name, but do you have any insight on the origin of the name?
Yeah, I used to get teased so much when I was a little kid, and then as I started having kids, I decided I need to give them more background. So we searched the name, and so it's an Old English name, and we can trace it back to 12th century England. I thought that was pretty good, and then I thought about some more and said it doesn't explain the cakebread part. So it's English, and so remember how the English named everybody after their profession,
right.
or what they lived next to. And so what they lived next to is all the people named Forest and Stream and Streeter and Church and Wells and Gates. And so then the professions are all the tailors, the smiths, the shoemakers, bakers. And so it turned out our guy was a baker who made only one thing. It was called a cake bread. It was very much a peasant loaf of, we call it bread. It wasn't really bread. It was a brick. So we hired a food historian. I got the recipe. We should have made it. And as great as Chef Michael is, he couldn't make this taste like anything. It's horrible. But it was very much a peasant bread back in 12th century England. I think in some ways, I think they used it to build Hadrian's Wall, that wall north of York, to keep all the.
So what you're saying is it's just stone, is what you're, it's a
it
rock.
Was so hard. But it was a peasant bread, and so our guy must have made just that, and it just got passed down. So there's lots of cake breads in the world. If you go to London, go look in the white pages in the telephone book, you see page after page of cake breads. So Old English name based on a baker.
Oh, that's great. And then thinking back through the history of the vineyard, can you kind of walk us through, I know it's on your website, but for those of us who haven't necessarily, delved too deep yet, can you just give us kind of a history on the vineyard and how you came to be in the position you're at today?
Yeah, so, it's 47 short years. So my dad, my parents, Jack and Doris, were our founders, and back in 1973, they had bought 22 acres up in the Napa Valley to retire to. And so turns out once you have land up there, you start looking at growing something. And so we planted like 10 acres of Sauvignon Blanc. And while we were waiting for that to grow, we bought a couple of tons of Chardonnay and made it up. Another winery used their press facilities and then aged it in barrels down at one of our barns and sold it. So our first vintage was a 1973 Chardonnay, 157 cases. And then we just slowly kept growing and learning and making better wines. I would like to say that we've always made the same style of wines, in that we like acid forward, crisp, flavorful wines that are all balanced and have some elegance and some style to them. And so here we are 47 years later. Pretty cool.
That's awesome. It's really neat to see how things progress over the year, and you build it into such a
Yeah.
a dynasty, it seems.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't know about,
Oh, Dennis, I think you muted yourself on accident.
yeah, we really enjoy it. It's a great product to make. And it's fun to meet everybody who's got history with it or has
Absolutely.
either been out there or had our wines before. It's
Yeah.
such fun. I appreciate the opportunity to have you taste them and tell our story.
Absolutely. And then, I think we might be wrapping up shortly, but, thinking through, you've been in the industry a while. What is the, I guess, most rewarding thing about what you do for your career? And then also kind of what's the hardest thing, I think, year in and year out about winemaking? I know it's kind of probably a loaded question, but.
It's rewarding just because we're out here. We walk through the vineyards every day. We're at the winery every day. You get to go through the 4 seasons, and you get to go through we finish up the year in harvest, and then everything goes dormant. We prune it, and all the leaves drop off, and then you get to go through spring, which is amazing because everything starts to grow. And in California, all the hills turn green and everything grows. And then the crop develops, and then we do a lot of work with how it's grown, and leaf thinning and cluster thinning and crop thinning. And then you get into harvest. This is what a great thing to have an annual project, and then you get to taste it and see how it comes out. And of course, we end up with bottles of wine. What a great thing. And so what the other part was the challenges. I was telling one of the groups that we think we're very resilient as a company because we've gone through devastating fires and earthquakes and the Great Recession, and we had phylloxera, we had to replant everything. So we're the typical farmer, you get used to lots of challenges that way. Sometimes I kind of sit down and shake my head going, why in the world? You should be making shoes or something, but this is very rewarding, mostly because of the people that we get to meet and the people that enjoy what our product and what we do, and they all have good stories of how they met over it or enjoy it. It's rewarding. There's challenges like everything in life, but there's plenty of rewards for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It must be really exciting and quite literally to see the fruits of your labor. No pun intended there, but.
Yeah.
And then I think we do have a couple questions for Chef Ponzio as well. So Dennis, I appreciate it. And, if we get some more coming back in, we'll swing back over to you for sure. But Chef, I think people were curious, what wine inspired you most this evening, I think, when creating the menu?
Honestly, the Cabernet was the most fun because all the complexities in a Cabernet and being able to pair it with 2 dishes. But the Pinot Noir with the Gorgonzola, I loved that stark contrast of doing something lighter with the Pinot Noir. So I think that one is the one that I was most excited to get in front of you today.
Excellent, thank you. And then, and I think this one can kind of be fielded to both, Dennis and Chef Ponzio here as well. What motivated you guys to support the Union League Boys and Girls Clubs through the fundraiser tonight? And obviously we're all here for a great time, but there's a lot behind it as well. For sure.
Lisa and Marina threatened us. I'm joking. Listen, what is going on is so amazing, and seeing even just a video and seeing those kids and smiling and knowing that they have a place that's going to help them and support them, it's really special, and it's great to be able to be a part of something like this and to help children and help the community and just, I don't know, it just feels good. It's a really nice thing to be a part of.
Well, so I thank Zach Ditch for getting us involved in stuff, and now watching the video, that's a very powerful tool, and certainly it's all, helping kids is a great thing to do. Many thanks to Matt and to Lisa, and certainly to Chef Michael. Logan, you've been a great voice of VOG is what they've been calling you, but thanks to everybody for Hope you enjoy the wines. Drive home safely. No, you're already home. This is great. Come out and visit us when it's safe, and hope to see you out there. Thank you.
Thank you both. And we have just one last question before we kind of wrap up for the evening. And this also, I think, can be directed at both Dennis and Chef Ponzio. If you were stranded on a desert island, what wine would you prefer to have with you?
Dennis, you could take this one first.
So you said an island, right? So it's got a palm tree, the breeze, and white
Yeah.
sandy beaches.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know, but I have a degree in romology, and so it'd be a nice bottle of rum.
Oh, which one?
Which one? You know, I enjoy Appleton rum. That's where I got my degree, is down in Jamaica.
I was down in Jamaica a couple Christmases ago, and Appleton was pretty tasty. Had quite a bit of that there. And then, Chef, what about you?
Geez. Honestly, I'd probably pick a nice Pinot. I love Pinot at that perfect kind of temperature, but I also don't mind it chilled. And it's delicious and light and refreshing, and it's probably the way I would go. Or, I mean, rum, I just play pirate and drink rum with Dennis all day. I think that'd be fun too.
Arr.
Excellent. Thank you both so much for answering our guests' questions. And I think right now it looks like we're gonna turn it back over to Matt and Lisa to close out the evening. So thank you both so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, what a great evening tonight. I really had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Thank you to everyone who supported the paddle raise and the dinner and everything. I'd like to announce that we officially made it to our goal. We made it to the 32,500 and officially met the Shade Family Foundation match. So that brings us to $53,625. So awesome, so great. We're so proud, and thanks to everyone on the committee and everyone at the club. I'd really like to thank our sponsors again, as well as the staff at the Union League Boys and Girls Clubs and the Union League Club.
All right, everyone. Thank you again for everything. Thank you for Chef and Dennis for making this wonderful event possible. Thank you for each and every one of you for attending, for supporting the paddle raise, for just being wonderful. So I know everybody enjoyed all of the wonderful wines that we had tonight. And you'd like to know how you would get more, because I do. And I have an answer to that question. So we will have a order form that will be going out right now in the chat, and we'll be emailing it to you. You can order each of the wines that we enjoyed this evening. And you'll also be able to order some very unique selections that you may or may not be able to find at your local liquor or wine store. So I encourage you to take a look. We're all from Chicago, so order early and order often. And I'd like to remind you that we the Union League Boys and Girls Club do get a portion of the proceeds of the wine order as well. So I would also like to tease our upcoming gala, because if you enjoyed this wine event, if you enjoyed the cake bread wines, stay tuned for some more information that's coming out about our 43rd annual gala coming up in November, because Dennis has continued his generosity and is providing us with a 6-pack special cake bread vintage package, and is donating this from his very own cellar. So we will have that at the gala for auctioning. And again, if this is something that you think you might be interested in, mark the first Saturday in November in your calendar, and there's more to come. One last thing, please remember, if you raised your paddle, please don't forget to check out via the GiveSmart app. You can charge this to your Union League Club account as well. We'll be keeping the Zoom open for another 45 minutes, so you can go back and hang out with your friends and continue to talk and enjoy wine and enjoy the time together. But before we do so, and put people back into their virtual tables, I would like to ask our board president, Cindy Gallaty, to close out the program.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. We had a few echoes going on here. What an amazing night. The food, the company, the wine, Dennis, Chef Ponzio, thank you so very, very much. It was beyond amazing, and it was just incredible. So applause, applause. Yes. So what do we say? Lisa Shade, our co-chair, and Matt Sheehan, co-chair. The time, the effort, you reinvented the wheel with staff, with technology people, with wineries and chefs, and it's just amazing. So amazing, the bold shift to go virtual. A few glasses of wine, hold on. So I'd also like to give a very, very special thank you to the Shade Family Foundation for so graciously making a gift of $21,000 for a matching fund donation for our Loretto Club Kitchen and Club Reopening Fund. Let's raise a toast one more time. You're here. Clink, clink, chin, chin, whatever
Chin,
you say. Thank you all so much, and now enjoy your evening and have a great night.